Good evening. Rena. There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing of it also made me feel uneasy, because it was just as I was about to ask Koichi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to a mere coincidence, but those unsettling words from Mion several days ago just echoed back at me. There's nothing this old man doesn't know. Are you alone, Rena? Yeah. Seems that Mion wasn't with her, but that didn't change the situation at all. Why did you come here? Hey, Cage-kun, I'd like to open the door so we can talk. Can I come inside, I wonder. It was true that speaking through a chain door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate, but at my house the chain has to be on all night. Don't worry about it. Then it can't be helped, I guess. Rena pouted rather sadly. But she kept smiling at least, and her effort to keep that smile up was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain, was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain and having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it was made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to have given up on trying to get into the entranceway. Have you eaten yet, Cage-kun? No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't there, dinner wouldn't be ready, no matter how long I waited. I laid down. When I got home, I was woken up by the phone, didn't have the chance to eat since I used all the time talking. I was going to have a couple noodles in any case. I would just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. Well, what about it? Then good. Look here. I bought a bunch of dishes. Held a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. If I could use a kitchen, I can heat up the miso soup and other stuff. It's fine, you don't need to do that. But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Does Keiichi not like that kind of stuff, I wonder? There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with lots of ingredients. White radish, carrots, burdock root, and potatoes, dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks incredible. I also brought rice, so if you microwave it, you can eat it really quickly. Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet, sipping miso soup in between ravenous bites. Oh yes, how wonderful it is to be born Japanese. I also made some pickles. I made sansai pickles this time. Before I had moved here to Inamizawa, I scoffed at the mountain vegetables called sensai, but I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. Vegetables from the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If you had to describe them, then they were vegetables for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first had to take part of sensei. It was common knowledge around here that the Ryugu family's traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were, they'd go well with that fluffy white rice. And also, oh wait, there's more. So delicious. It just seems so delicious. Farewell to my unhealthy self who said he'd just make do with a couple noodles. Rena appeared to be in good spirits, and she was offering such a delicious-sounding dinner. The stress evaporated from my gut and hunger reared from its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone. It wouldn't be a problem letting her inside, though the possibility was laced with poison and still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I couldn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then. But the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Rena speaking of this charming dinner was dependent on one premise. The premise that tonight dinner hadn't been made at my house, meaning it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't here. At any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of the dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner right around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time was inherently strange. Unless she knew. Rena, did she know that my parents weren't home? There was also a chance that this was a bluff. I had turned on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were here. There was a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home. But I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. Those are plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It was hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine if my parents were here or not, but there was no reason for me to confess that right now. I should try holding on to that fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner will be ready pretty soon. Huh? Is that so? Is that so? I know you went through all the effort and everything, but, well, unable to think of a good way to refuse, my words trailed off weakly. But some of this could work inside side dishes, I think. I'm sorry, we have more than enough already. My mom always makes quite a few sides. So... you have side dishes. With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her questions apologetically. But the feeling that I tried to ignore began creeping up on my back again. I spoke as if my mom was setting dinner down right now, but I didn't mesh well with that, Rena was saying. Rena was talking as if she was aware of some obvious fact. And that, I was aware of it as well. So Keiichi-kun could cook. What did you make, I wonder? No, it's not like that. Rena had assumed that out of nowhere I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I had made them, but rather that my mom hadn't. Did you really make them? The side dishes? Did you, Keiichi-kun? It wasn't me who made them. My mom did. No, she's making them. Right now. So you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat what you brought. Rena fell silent at that moment. At that moment, I felt that light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes. How about I try guessing what Keiichi-kun's dinner will be? It doesn't matter what I'm going to eat. Let's see. The conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. It felt like I was being interrogated. Your dinner, I wonder, is it something that can be made with just hot water? Hey now, stop with the insults. I can't believe you belittle my mom's extravagant dinner like that. Tickets sold out, full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grit my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. But Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness. Keiichi-kun, did your mother really leave you dinner? No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. It's almost time for dinner. Rena had taken that assertion of mine, that my mother was home making dinner right now, and was completely ignoring it. Yeah, that's because she's not stupid. I could tell that the more I panicked, the colder Rena became. And Keiichi-kun. After that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept from the gap in the doorway. Is your mom home, I wonder? I couldn't keep up the charade anymore. Rena, you knew full well that my parents weren't home. But I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyway, my parents were here, and we'd be having dinner soon. That's the situation I had concocted. So I answered. I told her that she was here. She's here, of course. I could feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming even more frigid, piercing me with their dulled glare. Why? Huh? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but the facade was worn off me the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. That look, and informed me that Rena's response was faster than she could open her mouth. Why have you been lying to me, I wonder? I'm not lying. That's a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie. Lies! I'm not very good at yelling, sorry. Rena's outburst sent a jolt surging through my body. Rena and I were still separated by what few inches of slightly ajar, but still chained door could afford. But despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I had considered safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me. Shall I guess your dinner, Keiichi-kun? Let's see. I knew that Rena already known that my parents would not be here tonight. But it was so strange that it had come to this. Even though she somehow knew my parents were at home, there was no way she should be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How could she guess it? How could she know it was an instant cup noodles? That's right, isn't it? That I was going to eat. Wait, the cooking repertoire of a man who doesn't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing. I don't think you'll be full with just noodles. I think having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot. Calm down, Keiichi Marbara. This was just coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tells of mine. So the fact that she was inferring what I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was actually reading my mind. If it was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that, they couldn't possibly exist. Do you like them? You mean noodles? No. Rena indicated that the point of my answer was addressing was wrong. I'm not sure what that word was supposed to be. Our rebuttal was so short, I momentarily didn't understand the words that Rena had spoken. Oh, that makes sense. Sorry, Rena, what did you say just now? Huh? About what? Just now you asked me if there was something I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I'd pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer, that's why I wasn't able to comprehend it. Pork bone and ginger flavor. I wondered how I appeared in the moments of my mind went completely blank until the moment I was able to recover. As my field of view began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena even know this? Not even caring, I mashed my head against the door, fixating my gaze on Rena. But she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly did buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case. How could you know that? Why, I wonder. Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it? How could you dodge a question at a time like this? The chain and door suddenly were no longer protecting me. How do you know? Why do you know? Answer me! You bought them at the 7th Mart, didn't you? A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering up with an angry facade. Like I said, how do you know that? Why would you know that? I was behind you, following you the whole time. What are you saying? I couldn't understand what she was saying. She'd been following me all this time. That's because Rena was right behind H-kun's back the whole time. Like that night? The night where I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Uishi-san, I didn't even sense her being there, standing behind the door, behind me, standing there just like that. When Keiichi was picking out the noodles, I was watching the entire time. You picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? And your mom got angry. If you were going to pick expensive ones, then you should pick one type, she said. And Keiichi-kun picked out that big box of pork bone and ginger flavor that he loved so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. But I could never eat a whole big bowl by myself. My brain was paralyzed, stilling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. With the fear being diminished, the fog enveloping my mind was cleared away. Then I could understand what Rena was saying, and started to put out meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes closed so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. I slowly took a step backwards, and as I withdrew, Rena advanced. Okay, Keiichi-kun, can you open this? We can eat dinner together. I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so, okay? Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door, one at a time, as if they had a mind of their own, rattling the chain. If she had unlatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have just exploded within me. But Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to light the fuse to the powder keg in my heart, trying again and again. Clatter-clatter. But it doesn't light. It doesn't light. Open up, Keiichi-kun? Please go away. I beg you, please go away. How can you say something so mean, I wonder? Please go away. Go away. Go away! The powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering, just exploded. I tackled the door. The force to the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed onto the doorknob with both hands and planted my feet firmly and pulled with all my might. But that slamming sound I desired didn't happen. I could feel a tiny, disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing. And it was the source that was Rena's fingers. Each of those fingers wriggling, squirming around like tendrils of carnivorous plant through the crack in the doorway. It hurts, Keiichi-kun, it hurts. It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp as she was trying to step back. Keep back. Go away, go away, go away. I kept on pulling the door with all my might. I didn't even realize that if I didn't loosen my pull on the door, at least momentarily, Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out, and that's why the door wasn't closing. It really hurts, Keiichi-kun. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much. Ugh. I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change if anything what she had done up until now. It didn't change anything. It hurts. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away. Go away. Go away. Rena couldn't leave even if she wanted to because I'd trapped her fingers. Rena's white fingers had become deep red and they were no longer even squirming. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go away, go away, go away! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Rena's apologies were occasionally twisted with pain, like a broken record. She was intent on repeating it over and over. Go away, go away, go away. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. I pulled on the door even harder. Finally, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from her imprisonment of the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed soundly, and I could hear the thud of Rena falling on her butt on the other side. I locked the door immediately. It made a loud clunk, voicing my rejection to Rena. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Keiichi-kun. I'm sorry. Open up, Keiichi-kun. Rena leaned against the door, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming that I was sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged away from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology. I'm sorry, those pitiful words. They would forever seeking forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about this at all, but that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I just felt sort of hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape from Rena. Before Miona threatened me at this doorway, and that there was nothing she didn't know. And now, at the same place, Rena told me the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact that my parents weren't home had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. My meager plans didn't help at all. Yami Nizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Rena as possible. 1 step, 2 steps. With each one, her sniveling apologies came more distant. I sprinted up the stairs and dove into my room. As you would expect, I was finally no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Diving to my bed, I was startled by the lump I had felt. There was something in my bed. Yeah, you forgot the phone call, didn't you? It was the receiver. I finally remembered I was in the middle of a call with Uishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed since I went downstairs. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I had talked to Rena for so long. How did almost no time pass? But the hand on the clock was ticking forward 1 second, every second as usual. As I still put the warm receiver in my ear, which felt frozen, time began moving once again. Hello, Uishi-san? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time that had passed between myself and Uishi-san was different. Over the phone, I could hear an energetic voice from a sports program or something. It drove home of how far away Uishi-san really was. Rena came just now. Did she come out to play? I wasn't confident that I could coherently explain the situation to Uishi-san, but I didn't need it right now. Right now I needed to know that about Rena. That's right, I was planning to ask him more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true and what was false, I couldn't tell. One thing I knew was the single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to figure something out if I asked Uishi-san about her. Up until now, I regretted whenever I forced myself to ask about things, and I was better off not knowing. But looking at it in that way, you could say I'd hit rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did now. No. Rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this. I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was absolutely not going to die like this. Not without knowing anything. I definitely won't. Regarding Ryugu-san, I did a bit of digging. Yeah, well, it wasn't much. I understood that Uishi-san was talking in circles. A bit, I meant I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're her friend. I want to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be very interested in what I have to say, though. Uishi-san. I spoke as calmly as possible to Uishi-san, who was continuing to avoid the issue. And then I said it. I think Rena Ryugu is suspicious. Even if the past events were from Oishiwa-sama's curse, Rena Riku isn't involved. Do you have some sort of proof that makes you believe Rena-san is suspicious? The manner in which Uishi-san spoke became very firm. Do you have some sort of proof? That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. See, I could tell that even over the phone how disappointed Uishi-san was. Pulling from the fishing line that he felt a bite, only to reel in the bait. Disappointed, but ready to cast a line once more. That's how it seemed. Uishi-san, you can't do anything without physical proof, can you? What I meant was you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck at the bar in there. As Uishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things, he understood me just fine. It's fine, Marbo-san. I'll protect you. That was not at least a bit reassuring. Uishi-san was just using me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That was all I was to him. Whether I am alive or dead may be of no concern to your investigation, but it's all over for me when I die. Uishi-san went silent on the other end of the line. That might have been too blunt, but I didn't care. All I needed to relay to Uishi-san is that I was currently in a very dangerous position. So please tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out, not too far in the future, so I'll probably do what Rena called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Alright, Marbo-san, please calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Uishi-san having to tell me. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust in the police. It would seem that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect myself. Then, at least I wanted to know what happened before Rena transferred schools. You're aware that this won't be very interesting, right? Uishi-san, realizing my resolve wouldn't be swayed, finally caved. Right now, to me, there's nothing that I'd find uninteresting. Please. There are a few things I need you to agree to. Okay? Please keep this confidential. Also, as a part of this may be speculation, not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? It might not be true. I don't understand what you mean. There isn't one main investigation for the mysterious chain of deaths in Himinazawa. Each one is treated as its own individual case. Thus, Rena Riku has never been linked to any of the investigations. Basically, you see, this is an investigation of Rena done by the police, and this is a personal query, is what you're telling me. So make things a lot quicker since you understand. All of it is from either phone calls or meetings or interviews, so they aren't corroborated. I'm asking you to take this all with a grain of salt, is what I mean. We have an agreement. All of it is just from what you've heard. Yes, my apologies. It's all from my personal investigation, you see. That thing, before you said about Rena's chart, didn't you? I'm sure I heard you say that. Uishi-san paused for a moment on the other end of the line. Told you that too? Please, pretend you didn't hear anything about that, bro. No. I didn't care about Uishi-san having certain obligations or responsibilities. I also didn't care if there was no proof. Even if they were just rumors, there's no smoke without fire, after all. Please tell me, Uishi-san. Understood? Uishi-san finally opened those tight lips of his. It seemed that Rena lived in Himinimazawa a long time ago. She had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture after she finished elementary school. Then following that, right after transferring, the unfortunate incidents with breaking the windows happened. Then Rena confided to the doctor. It was Oishiwa-sama. This was all that he knew. There isn't much difference between what I know and what you know, Marbo-san. And what part did you investigate further? I didn't need to ask. It was the incident that happened just after she transferred. The incident Rena was responsible for, and what she divulged to the doctor afterwards, correct? Yes. After you learned about that, you started suspecting Rena and the others, didn't you? Yes, I did suspect them. So they're the ones after all. No, that's not what I meant by suspect them, even though it is what you mean. Uishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence, but these particular words were less than reassuring. Then who did you suspect? That it was Oishiwa-sama. Huh? That Oishiwa-sama's curse really exists. Yeah, right. Well, ha 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 ha. Uishi-san's laugh was quite dry, certainly not the kind that would make you want to join in. Uishi-san resumed the conversation, about the dubious circumstances around Satoshi's disappearance. The course of events up until the start of delving into Rena's past. Just then, there was thunder in the distance, and heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning. Rain so heavy it felt like it could beat you down. I left the window in my room open a crack to let the heat out. The violent wind danced into my room, making the curtains flap wildly. What is it? Ah, nothing. It suddenly started raining heavily. Sorry, please continue. I got up while on the phone and closed the window. I said at the beginning it was an incident, but because neither the school nor victims filed charges, the police were never involved. So you see, those involved were very reluctant to talk. Regardless of there being a victim who had one eye beaten so badly it had permanent damage. It could have been that the school, or possibly some individual, made arrangements to keep this from going public. Also, the psychologist was very strict about their professional ethics. Hello? Maibara-san? Can you hear me? There was a figure of a person standing in the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in this torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe. In the shower, which more resembled a waterfall, droplets of water dripped down from her hair. Ooh, she's blue. Just standing there, both arms dangling in her side. One hand to a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Her eyes focused on my room. Focused on me as I was about to close the window. Her mouth methodically repeating a chewing motion. It was as if she had something hard to chew in her mouth, with her cheeks puffing out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be at this time that I was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking developments being brought to light by Uishi-san? If it hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. Then I wouldn't have noticed Rena, nor would I have noticed that. Rena's mouth was moving in the same pattern. She wasn't eating something, she was repeating something. What was it? What was she repeating? To me. What was she saying? Why was I right up against the window, fixated on her? Hello? Maibara-san? Can you hear me? Hello? I'm sorry. Huh? Maibara-san? I'm sorry. 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 Hello? Maibara-san? What's the matter? Even in this torrential downpour, Rena is still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking the view from the outside. But even doing that, Rena's relentless apology still reached my ears. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I forgive you for this, will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. I'm sorry. 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 Damn it. Why did I have to forgive her? I mean, you technically don't, but okay. I'm the one who wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. I won't forgive. 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 I won't forgive. Maibara-san, if you can hear me, then please respond. Hello? Oh. Oh, we still hear this raining in the background. Great. You have received new tips. Split personality in that 7th mark. Rain of apologies is the achievement I got. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's go over those tips real quick. Yes. Split personality. I see it in movies quite often, but what is it exactly? Multiple personalities are thought to be escapism. Multiple personality disorder is a form of escape. Now, just to clarify real quick, the terming for this used to be called multiple personality disorder, but now it should be, I think, called dissociative identity disorder, so that way you have like multiple identities rather than just the one that you're supposed to have, in a sense. Whereas you can have multiple aspects of a personality within yourself, if that makes sense. But this was an early 2000s visual novel, so they just went with the most accurate definition at the time, so... Anyway, moving on. Correct. The exact mechanism is not fully understood, but is believed to be a type of defense for the brain to maintain mental stability. Hypothetically, poor people imagining themselves as wealthy is a form of escapism, is it not? Is this also a form of multiple personality disorder? I wouldn't go that far, but broadly speaking, one could infer that. It's something that occurs in us all. Does a split personality occur when one cannot tell which is reality and which is the escape? That's difficult to say. There are some people who agree with that and some who disagree. There is no consensus. Then, is the occurrence of multiple personalities still an unknown phenomenon, something not fully comprehended in the psychiatric field? Unfortunately, that is the current state of things. We can only put our hope in future research. But it's sort of cool having a split personality. What kind of people get split personalities? Recent studies have found that those who develop it, or rather those who are susceptible to developing it, may be genetically predisposed or may have some abnormal mental development. Some say that childhood abuse increases the chances. Speaking of which, Person A here has experienced abuse as a child, didn't he? How sad. Person A has 7 different personalities. Let's watch a video of him. Right after these commercials. Curious? Okay. There are some of these that I'm not entirely sure what references they're trying to go with here. Like, I don't know who was communicating to each other in that particular conversation. And maybe that's the point, you're not supposed to know. Or it's supposed to be broad enough to where it could work either way. Let me do this one more here. 7th mark. The 7th Mart was a bargain supermarket with food and alcohol. What's this, Keiichi? So many. There's no reason to get all these different kinds, is there? I flopped all the different colored cup noodle bowls into the cart. Cup noodles have gotten so elaborate recently, and there are a bunch of different types. I want to try each of them at least once. I knew that was pretty selfish of me, but I thought I'd at least give it a try. Keiichi, buy them in the big case. It's cheaper. Dad faltered. Well, I had a feeling it'd end up like this. Dad knew that there was no point in butting in. Then I'd only get to eat one kind. I'd get bored with it. I was resisting as a formality. I had already given up inside and wasn't sure which case of noodles to get. If you can't pick, then Mommy will pick for you. You don't have to rush me. I quickly searched the case of noodles for what I want. Pork bone and ginger, large cup? Hey, Keiichi, can't you get more normal one? I'll let Mom pick. She err on the side of safety and get soy sauce or salt flavored. Ooh. Pork bone is good. I don't want a big bowl of tasteless stuff. I remembered insisting that the noodles I picked were the right kind. In this frozen memory and time, this encapsulated world, I didn't have the power to look around my surroundings. So I did what I could and reached out within my hearing and vision, sharpening my senses to find the presence I overlooked. No matter how much I searched through my field of vision, I couldn't see Rena. I rewound the situation, searching. But of course I couldn't find her. Then she was spying at me from my blind spot. I go through the sound and presence again, looking. I could sense other customers. They were all mixed about, moving as they please. There was nobody looking over this way and no one trying to get behind me. Not here. Couldn't be here. Probably wasn't here. I could definitely notice if someone was right behind me, even when I wasn't on my guard. I smiled wryly at the thought of using a vague word like probably, right before contradicting it with definitely. Then I paused my mental replay as a chill ran down my spine. There was definitely a presence, like a shadow behind me. That was a terror unlike any other. If a presence really had manifested behind me, I should definitely have turned around to check for it. But the world had moved on, and there was no way for me to turn around. While carrying the frightening shadow on my back, I was gleefully running around the store searching for a case of noodles. Running through the instant noodle selection, bad-mouthing my mom. But there was that presence constantly at my back, sticking to me like a shadow. No way to see what it was, realizing it now after the fact was horrifying and repulsive. In that moment of time, I was running around gleefully, carrying that cardboard box. Tip-tap. But listening to that moment again, I could hear the footsteps other than mine going pit-pat with every step. Tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap. Pit-pat, pit-pat, pit-pat. Tip-tap, tip-tap, tip-tap. Pit-pat, pit-pat, pit-pat. Tip-tap, tip-tap. Pit-pat, pit-pat. While I was running, the sound of those barefoot steps going pit-pat were right behind me. Me running around gleefully in that closed-off moment in time. But I didn't hear it. No, I heard it, that's why I remembered it. I didn't think I had heard anything. That's why I didn't turn around. This is why I couldn't turn around. In that moment, the pit-pat of those footsteps were following me the entire time. I couldn't run faster and escape. I couldn't run away any faster than I had ran at that time. I couldn't turn around. I hadn't turned around before, not once. Then I returned to my parents and started talking. The shadow-like presence was right at my back. Since I didn't move, the shadow didn't move. That's why it made no sound. That was all. At that time, I had taken a single step while walking with my parents. I was just standing there. This was undeniable. And yet, I heard it. Pit-pat. That shouldn't be. If I took 3 steps, it should follow 3 steps. Wasn't that the rule? There was no sound other than that. At the time, the entire world had gone dark. Sudden darkness. It was the end of my reflective journey. I was tired. I wanted to end it. Someone turned on the light. Except my body couldn't move. As if I was sewn into that moment in time. Pit-pat. My past self, hair stood on end. That's impossible. Now it's just breaking the rules. I hadn't moved. So you shouldn't be moving either. I couldn't move. You shouldn't be able to move either. Follow the rules. Pit-pat. Yet that sound echoed in the darkness once again. Hair on the back of my neck pricked up on the end. It was so close that it was hard to tell whether it was touching my hair or not. Why couldn't I move? How the presence was moving behind me. I quickly realized I could move. It was just I was scared and I didn't want to. But now was the only time I could turn around. It was something unforgivable in this moment in time, but I needed to turn around immediately. As if my entire body was trying to force me to stop, it began to administer pain, like a needle being stuck into my every pore. I turned around. I'm not scared at all. I'll turn around. I'm not scared at all. A scream I was able to vocalize. Not making that sound. I turned around. At first, I couldn't understand the meaning of it. What? What is this? Situation in front of my eyes. It was like a mouth biting an apple and slurping juice. The way you would with any apple. My mind was being eaten. I began to munch down, slurping the juices because it was like an apple. Meaning what was in front of me was... Achievement unlocked. Detective Onokokushi. I'll have to see what that means after that. Okay. Yes. Okay. That was an extensively anxiety, stress-inducing kind of chapter, so I'm gonna end things here. I think this does sort of this whole sense of paranoia and mental argument really well. I think that's why I kind of like this a lot. Even though, most likely, I don't think situationally this would ever happen to me anytime soon. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a good one, and thank you all for watching the video. And, yeah, have a great one.